I abandoned 4 Python projects before I understood why I kept failing. It wasn't the code. It wasn't me. It was something built directly into the way Python gets taught, and nobody told me about it until I'd already quit 3 times. If you've seen this error and you know you installed requests, this video is for you. The project is not broken. You are not broken. Here's what makes this trap so hard to escape. It doesn't activate when you're confused, not when you're bored, not when you're struggling. It activates at the exact moment you feel most ready, right when you think, this time I've got it. That feeling, that rush of I finally know enough to build something real, is the most dangerous moment in learning Python. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that moment is the trigger, what the 3 failure modes look like, and most importantly, the one methodology shift that changes the outcome. Stay until the bonus. It's a system, not a speech.
Let's talk about why you chose that project. Not a simple to-do app, not a calculator, a full automation pipeline, an AI assistant, a scraper that does 7 things at once. There's a reason for this. It's not arrogance, it's dopamine. Starting a project, imagining it finished, naming the files, making the folders, triggers the same reward response as completing it. Your brain has already celebrated. And then you open main.py. The tutorials covered variables and functions, but your project needs API authentication, asynchronous requests, JSON parsing, error handling, and a scheduler, none of which you've touched. But you don't go back to basics. Therefore, you search for libraries that handle it, but the library requires a version of Python you don't have. Therefore, you spend 2 hours fixing the environment, but fixing the environment breaks something else. Therefore, you haven't written a single line of actual project logic in 3 days. This is the ambition paradox. The bigger the project you pick, the more motivated you feel at the start, and the faster you burn out when the gap between your skills and the requirements becomes impossible to ignore. And here's the thing most people get wrong. They think the gap means they're not good enough. It doesn't. It means they chose the wrong starting point. And this is the moment most beginners disappear. Not because they can't learn Python, but because they think the failure means something about them. That moment, closing the editor at 11 p.m. and thinking, maybe I'm just not one of the people who can learn this, is the most common moment in the whole process. Not the rarest, the most common. Maybe you're just not technical enough. Maybe you started too late. Maybe programming just isn't for you. So the project sits in a folder, and a few weeks later, you stop opening the editor. That interpretation is wrong, and I know because I made it 4 times. Let me show you the second failure mode, because even if you pick a reasonable project, this one gets you. You find a tutorial. It uses 5 libraries. You run the tutorial's code. It works perfectly. But you try to modify it for your use case. Therefore, something breaks. But the error message references a function inside a library you don't understand. Therefore, you can't debug it, because you don't know if the problem is your code or the library. This is environment hell. You're not debugging your logic, you're debugging someone else's abstraction in a version of a library you may not even be running correctly for a use case the tutorial never tested. Here's what nobody tells you about third-party libraries. Every library you install is a layer of complexity between you and understanding what your code actually does. When you write soup.findAllA, you don't know what's happening. You know it returns links, you don't know how. When it breaks, you have no mental model to reason with. Compare that to writing the thing yourself, badly, from scratch. Is this worse? Yes. Does it do less? Yes. Can you debug it when it breaks? Absolutely, because you wrote every line. You know where the data enters, where it moves, where it could fail. That understanding is what libraries hide from beginners.
Look at this code. Tell me where the bug is. I can't either, and I wrote it. This is what happens when a beginner builds 5 days straight without structure, because structure feels like extra work when you're just trying to make something run. You change 1 line, 3 things break. You fix those, 2 more appear. There's no place to start because everything depends on everything else. The wall isn't a lack of talent, it's a structural problem. And here's the thing about structural problems. They have structural solutions.
Here's the pivot. Instead of a month-long project that you abandon on day 9, you run microsprints. A microsprint is this. Pick 1 function your project needs. 1. Build only that. Make it work. Ship it. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Not a scraper, not an AI tool. Something useful, concrete, and shippable in 20 lines. A script that checks if a website is online. That script runs every time. You know every line.
You know where the data enters. You know exactly why it fails when it fails. That is a shipped script. That is a dopamine hit you earned. This isn't about being humble about your ambitions. It's neuroscience. The dopamine hit you got from imagining the finished project, you can get that same hit from shipping a working 5-line script. And here's the difference. The 5-line script actually shipped. Every working script is proof of competence. Proof builds identity. Identity builds persistence. The beginner who ships 5 terrible scripts gets better faster than the one who spent 2 weeks on one broken masterpiece, because the 5 scripts gave them 5 debugging cycles, 5 moments of it works, 5 reasons to open the editor tomorrow.
Now, let me show you what iterative growth actually looks like. Day 1, fetch a URL. Works. Day 2, parse the response for one piece of data. Works. Day 3, save that data to a file. Works. Day 4, add a check so it doesn't crash on a bad URL. Look at what just happened. You added error handling, not because a tutorial told you to, but because your working script needed it. You understood exactly where the failure could occur because you built every layer above it. That's how real developers add complexity, not all at once, layer by layer on a stable foundation. Let me reframe the beginning of this video. The project didn't fail because you're not a programmer. It failed because the way Python gets taught, variables, functions, clean examples, gives you just enough to feel ready, and not quite enough to survive contact with a real project. Tutorials optimize for clarity. Real projects are messy by design. And the gap between them isn't a talent gap, it's a methodology gap. You were using a month-long project when you needed a 5-line script. You were installing libraries when you needed to understand data flow. You were writing 200 lines when you needed to write 10 and stop. The developers who stick with Python aren't the ones who chose better projects. They're the ones who figured out, consciously or accidentally, that the job is to ship something small every day and let the complexity follow. That developer from the beginning of this video, day 6, broken project, ready to quit, here's the system that changes the outcome. 1. Count your working scripts, not your planned projects. This is the one that changes everything. One working script is worth more than 10 ideas in a folder. Open a repo right now. Call it scripts. Every day you ship something, add it. The habit is the product, and the count is your evidence that you're actually building. 2. The one function rule. Before you open the editor, write this as a comment at the top of the file. Hashtag today I am only building, and finish the sentence with one function. Just one. If you finish, close the editor. If you don't, that comment is tomorrow's starting point. Never try to build 2 things in one session. 3. Strip the dependencies. Before you install a library, ask, can I do 20% of this with Python Standard Library? If yes, do that first. Libraries come in when you understand what they're replacing. 4. Make it fail loudly. Wrap every risky operation in a try except and print the error. Beginner scripts die silently. Silent failures are impossible to debug. Loud failures are just information. 5. Ship before you improve. If it runs and does the thing, it's done. Don't refactor before shipping. Don't add features before the base works. Commit the ugly version. You can clean it up after it works. 2 of these, just 2, and the project from day 6 becomes a project that makes it to day 30. Now you know the trap. You know why it happens, when it happens, and how to build around it. But I want to tell you something about where this road leads. You follow this system, you ship small scripts, your foundation gets solid, and eventually, that moment you've been working toward, your code is going to be correct, clean, tested, reviewed, and it's going to destroy your database. Not because you made a mistake, not with an error, with success. No exception, no stock trace, no warning in the logs. The same invisible trap, just at the next level. Correct code, hiding a mechanism you can't see that only appears when real traffic hits. That's what's waiting after the beginner stage. The video right here is that story.